Heyo. Going to you.
Greetings and welcome to Trinity Radio. I'm Jonathan Pritchett, and along with me over there is
Braxton Hunter.
Yes, and today we are going to talk about an advice column that's stupid.
And before we do that, everyone check out my church split merch. If you're not familiar, one of our Trinity students, graduate students, I think still student, runs a podcast with a friend, and his name is Will Hess and Brian Bode, I think. And they're the church split. Here's their t-shirt. Check them out.
The most hated YouTubers there are right now, I think.
And honestly, Atheist wants to know where's his pass, because I titled this Atheists Get a Pass, Theists Not So Much. And there's a little bit of a definitional explanation we'll have to get to there when we get into the articles, but why don't we just go ahead and do that? Because on Friday, the idea is that this is more free-flowing. This is more just me and Jonathan kicking around, joking around, talking about theology or culture like we would do in one of our offices when you're not listening, except now you are listening and you can add in your thoughts. But
yes, I
we try to cover a story quickly at the beginning for the first 10 minutes or so, depending on how long. And then we go to your questions and answers.
It goes to like 40 minutes, and then we finally get to like one or two questions.
That's not the plan, though.
Right.
And computational theist is back.
I wanted to see if you were going to join my new movement. I've started a movement.
Oh, really? Another one?
There's only one person in it.
What's this movement about?
Woke Christian nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a woke Christian nationalist with me?
You have to define it.
There's not a single word in that phrase that doesn't bother somebody. Woke bothers people, Christian bothers people, nationalist bothers people, woke Christian bothers people, Christian nationalist bothers people.
So you're not really a Christian nationalist or woke or any of those.
It depends on how you define. If I get to define every one of those terms myself, I'm all of it. If I don't, then no.
But for the person who's listening to you for the first time.
But the only reason to have that is because everyone hates something about it. And that's a good reason.
Well, while we're doing this early farting around.
Buddy, if that were true, you'd smell it over the internet. So.
Let me just ask you, what would you say to, but someone just heard you say that. I think we should call ourselves that. What they say, oh, he's some kind of Christian nationalist?
Oh, he's woke?
He's a woke. I don't know what that is, but it has Christian nationalist.
Right, and that's another benefit.
I'm wanting you to say to the crowd that you aren't actually the things that probably immediately jump into their minds.
No, I want that to jump in their mind. That's the point of it.
But you see what happened, new people, right? You see.
Okay. That's why it's so great, because it just irritates people.
Oh, and in the theme of unusual bathroom humor on this hopefully classier show, I thought Pritchett's movement was going to be a bowel.
No, that's before the show.
Oh, I just got rid of something here. Oh,
what is
dear.
it? What is with all this?
I have to run a show over here while you talk about
This is like toilet humor
whatever
going on today.
All right, so let's just jump into this. And if you ask a question, I'll try to see it. You can put question or at me, and we'll do it at Trinity Radio. Okay, let's take a look at some articles. If you'd like to pull them up on your own, I'm not going to put them on the screen, but I have linked them in the description, so you can check those out. This is from an advice columnist whose name is, hold on a second.
Wow,
I started up the other stream that we're on, but we're not on. Okay, so Ask Amy is the name of the column. It is in the, I thought she was with the Chicago Tribune. I think it's syndicated, so you might see these pop up elsewhere. But the Washington Post has this article. And Jonathan, it's Amy Dickinson. That's the author. This one is from September 25th, 2022. So this is just a few days ago. Mm-hmm. And it says, Ask Amy, Atheist wants an honest but kind way to bow out of religious activities. Now, okay, so far, fine. Let's see what's said.
There's a lot of Christians that want to.
And not just because they don't on paper like church,
right?
But because in their heart they want to bow out,
right? Because they don't want to have to get dressed and go to the thing.
Yeah, we can watch it on TV. That's what COVID did, the great reshuffling. Dear Amy,
I was thinking about like family events and stuff too.
I am an atheist. I believe in practicing kindness and respect for other people's views. In recent years, I have been working on becoming more honest about religious activities I would prefer not to attend. These ceremonies make me very uncomfortable. I used to tell lies to preserve the feelings of people I love when I didn't want to attend a baptism or other religious event. I've also attended many and have been very uncomfortable. Now that I'm in my 50s, I want to be more honest. A friend invited me to attend her twins' bar mitzvahs. This is a tough one. I am not particularly close to these twins, but the mother's friendship means a great deal to me. I really don't want to attend the ceremony, but I don't want to hurt her feelings either. Can you think of an honest but very kind way to bow out respectfully? Now, what I want to say next is I don't really have a problem with how she answers this. Yeah. Okay? This is fine. All right? Obviously, I think we should be able to attend. But look, it's fine. Okay? Here's what she says. Well, actually, we're not to the end of the question. The person says, I'd rather send a gift and thoughtful note acknowledging the milestone. This friend is likely
even do that much.
This friend is likely to ask me why I'm not going, and I am leaning toward giving her a more honest answer because of our friendship. I hope is strong enough, and I think it would feel more respectful to have her know the truth. If I can do it kindly, I value your input! Exclamation point. All right, so this person
done with religion.
This person is done with the religion.
Done.
Like Sleepless in Seattle, done with the religion, yes. Right? Okay, but this person is saying they're gonna probably ask me why, right? Which I would understand. It's true. Well, let's get to her answer before we analyze. Okay. Done. The honest and kind way to bow out respectfully would be to RSVP. I'm so sorry, I can't attend. Please pass along my congratulations to the twins. Now they are men. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. My point, she says, is that when you are declining an invitation, you don't need to supply a reason. It is somewhat unusual for a host to follow up to ask, well, why can't you attend? Now, she said they probably will ask me that. I think that it's the kind of relationship they will ask me that. So this doesn't mean they probably won't ask you that. Hold on. This doesn't mean they probably won't ask you that. This means it's wrong for them to ask you that, or it's against etiquette for them to ask you that anyway. So that's not on you.
Yeah, I don't believe that that's against etiquette. If they're your friends, like, oh, what you got going on?
Me too. But I'm trying to get right now at how is Amy meaning this? Yeah. And it seems like since it's already been said that they're going to, I know this person, they're going to ask me. This says, it's somewhat unusual for the host to follow up to ask, well, why can't you? As if they do that, that's kind of their fault. That's not on you type thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm with you. I don't agree. If this is a friend that's close enough that you're having an existential crisis over this question, then it's a close enough friend that they should be able to ask you, what's up?
What do you got going on?
Yeah, what's going on? The kids will love to see you there. They don't know you that well.
Not even that much. Just, you doing something cool?
Yeah.
Or something. I mean,
yeah, what's going on? That would cause you to be able to miss this bar mitzvah.
Why are you skipping my bar mitzvah?
My point is that when you are declining an invitation, you don't need to supply a reason. Okay,
I agree with that.
I agree too on paper. It's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay.
If you ask me, why aren't you doing this thing with you and Aunt?
I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. I'm just not going to. Well, why not?
That's about all you'll get.
And I have gotten exactly that response.
Yes. Yeah.
If your friend does ask, you can say, as you know, I'm an atheist. Because they're going to know, right? I'm an atheist. I don't attend religious ceremonies. I realize this might be somewhat awkward. And I recognize this is extremely important in your family, but I need to decline. But I'm also very honored by the invitation. Fine. That's fine. That's all fine. Obviously, I don't think it's fun. I'd like people not to be atheists. But given that we live in a world like this and that some people freely choose this position or find themselves believing it or whatever you want to say, I'm fine. Fine, that's fine. Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's go on to another topic because when I saw this, Pritchett, I thought to myself, wonder if she's ever written on another subject about being invited to religious ceremonies, even if they're not seen as religious ceremonies. You can probably imagine where this is going. Here it comes from the Mercury News, also from the same author, Amy Dickinson, even the same headshot for the profile pic. And this one's called Ask Amy, how do I get out of attending my niece's same-sex wedding? Almost exactly the question, right? Yes. Okay. I am very close with my oldest sister. Her daughter is planning to marry a woman many years younger than she. I don't believe in same-sex weddings, nor do I have any desire to attend this wedding. My children feel the same way. The wedding is out of town with many expenses involved. I hate to travel and have many obligations in town, including owning my own business. Amy, my sister, is not taking no for an answer. How do I get out of this wedding without creating a rift in our relationship? Couple of things. I agree with some of what we're about to read from Amy as it relates to being dishonest.
I don't agree with family members not taking no for an answer.
Right. And I
don't care if it starts a rift.
Yeah, that's sticking with you don't have to say anything. You don't have to tell them why. But the point is here, she's saying that they're not taking no for an answer. They want to know what's the answer too. They keep asking, and we're going to see.
You just wait till your parents decide to move, okay? Because I don't know that you've experienced this yet. But like when my mom says, "Hey, will you come over and help us pack?" You know what that means? Mm-hmm. She's going to give me stuff she doesn't want to take with her and use my house as a storage unit. That's what that means.
Say it again.
Like when my mom asked me, because her and my stepdad have moved several times or whatever, and every time they want me to move, they want to take less with them. and they inevitably means they want to
give it to you.
Oh, look, I'm giving you stuff.
This is a family heirloom.
Right. No, you're not giving me. You're using my house as a storage unit.
This inflatable pool that we put in the driveway once when you were 10.
Right.
You want that, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm busy. Oh, come on. You're not going to help her. No.
Yeah.
If it was just lifting stuff, sure. If it means I have to be responsible now to turn my garage into a storage shed, absolutely not.
Okay, so I agree.
Put your foot down.
There are things I agree with her about this, but I want you to notice what's also similar in both cases is the knowledge of the person that this person is going to keep asking me until I tell them.
There is a thing, there's an event, and it conflicts with my beliefs and preferences, so I don't want to go to the thing.
And to the extent that someone considers a same-sex marriage a religious event, because that's the beef, right? That traditional marriage people are like,
yeah. But either way, there's this event. I don't want to go to it because it contradicts my beliefs or makes me.
Now, there's one thing about this that I do want to say.
That's what they have in common, though. There's an event that conflicts with my beliefs.
Yeah, and I want to say too that this is well, now I lost it. See what you did to me? Oh, this is, I said on the thing, atheists get a pass, theists not so much. Mm-hmm. It is never stated in this that this is a theist asking this question, but I mean, I think maybe not, maybe it's not fair, but I'm confident this is a theist.
Well,
and certainly many theists would be in this, mostly theists would be probably in this category. I don't know. All right, here's the answer. Dear Want, I gather that you have already offered up all of your various excuses, and so now all you have left is the truth. You don't want to go to this wedding because you refuse to attend a same-sex wedding ceremony. Now, notice that even though I'm going to agree with something here, notice the tone and how it seems a bit different, even though we're reading text. And so first, a public service announcement about excuses. When you make one, you really need to commit to it. Lean in. Think Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman or Meryl Streep.
You don't have to give a reason.
Well, anything. Well, and that's right. Why do you even have to? But she's kind of dealing with a situation where this person already has given excuses. Yeah. So I'm going to give her a pass on that.
Well, she didn't care when the other lady said, you know what, they're definitely going to ask why. Mm-hmm. Oh, people don't do that. But if they do,
And also, this is generally true strategically, what she says here, but let's not think of how to help people deceive better, right? That's not really, because you seem to be throwing various excuses at the wall in hopes that one will stick. I'm concluding, and your sister will too, that you are flailing around trying to obscure your own truth, which is that you hold particular prejudice, but you seem too embarrassed to own it.
Why aren't you prejudiced for being a anti-Semitic Jew bigot?
Don't say that. That's not what was said.
No, but I mean,
don't say that.
She's bringing out a pejorative here.
Well, and so you're doing a reduct, like a
right. Why not the pejorative?
Yeah,
to the
just be careful with that terminology.
No, I'm just saying. If you're prejudiced, I mean, if you're gonna open that door, that's a you should be on the defensive here. We're name calling now
because this is your truth, and because your beloved sister's truth is that she loves and accepts her daughter. There is no way you can get out of this wedding without creating a rift. You can only hope that your sister is more tolerant of your truth than you are of hers, and that she will forgive you.
Oh, right. So her prejudice is something that is in need of forgiveness.
Hold on. So
as opposed to, you don't want to go be around your friend's bar mitzvah because it's religious. You see what I'm saying?
I'm just noticing. What do you mean? What do I see? What you're saying?
Attitude.
I agree that this is.
Yeah. Her attitude is way different here. It's you need forgiveness for your prejudice.
That's my point. That's my point.
It's okay if you don't want to go be around Jewish people.
Yeah. Well, so let me read this.
I'm being facetious on purpose. But
so basically, if you're in the first one, you don't have to give an answer, and you don't have to go, and it's fine, and don't worry about it. And if they ask, that's kind of on them. In this one, you are an embarrassed, prejudiced, less tolerant, divisive person in need of the forgiveness that you must hope will be given.
Yes.
Why not saying the same thing? Like she said before, you could say, "I'm so sorry, I can't attend. Please pass along my congratulations to the twins now. Yeah. They are men." Why can't we say in response, why couldn't she say, well, you could say something like, "I'm so sorry about the same-sex marriage. I'm so sorry I can't attend. Please pass along my congratulations," and then just move on, right?
Yes.
Why can't you?
As you know, go back to the other one.
Well, hold on. In the other one, it says, if your friend does ask, you can say, "As you know, I'm an atheist. I don't attend religious ceremonies. I realize this might be somewhat awkward, and I realize this is extremely important to your in your family, but I need to decline. But I'm also very honored by the invitation." Now, why couldn't you say, if your friend does ask, you can say, "As you know, I believe in traditional marriage. I don't attend same-sex weddings. I realize this might be somewhat awkward, and I recognize this is extremely important in your family, but I need to decline. But I'm also very honored by the invitation."
It's because Amy Dickerson is a double-minded hypocrite.
Don't say stuff like that, bro. You are determined.
Horrible person.
I can't say she's a horrible person. I've read some wonderful
makes her horrible.
things. That doesn't make her a horrible person.
The double-minded people are pretty.
You can be inconsistent and not even notice it. You know what I mean?
Oh, the one thing, one of my pet peeves is inconsistency. And that's why I count on my friends to always point out if I'm inconsistent. But see, here she is talking about tolerance and hope that she's more tolerant, blah, blah, blah. Folks, listen to me while Braxton is scrolling for comments. If you're going to hold tolerance out as some virtue to be of some sort of value, then be consistent with it and apply it consistently, especially if you have an advice column like Amy here, who is inconsistent in the way that she treats people with different worldviews. This is obvious. The people who talk about tolerance, they don't even mean tolerance. What they really mean is acceptance. Instead of tolerating that which you don't accept, they mean acceptance. But even then, tolerance, the people who champion tolerance are rarely tolerant of specific people. Which is why I don't champion tolerance. Either as redefined as acceptance or as I don't put up with a lot of stuff. I'm intolerant of a lot of things. I encourage others to be intolerant of a lot of things.
Well, we all have to be.
I barely tolerate Braxton.
That's true. And I want to say, I did not listen to that rant. You were free right then.
I'm just saying,
if you could have said something really like blasphemous and I wouldn't have even heard it.
I'm saying is, if you're going to champion tolerance as something that's good, which I don't.
No, I heard enough.
But if you do, be consistent.
I heard enough to agree with that.
Yes.
That yes, there is. It seems that's the whole reason I brought up these articles, is to say this seems like a double standard.
It is definitely a double standard.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course is hostile in the direction that everything's hostile towards.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And you can look at it on, like, one thing you need to understand is, like, when you say, well, yeah, but you think it's a religious ceremony marriage. And we don't see it as a religious ceremony. Well, first of all, you can't speak for all same-sex couples because many do. And understand that marriage is one of the few covenants that we have left in the modern world in the West. And a covenant is not a contract, even though people today treat marriage like that's all it is, and one that when you decide you want to get out of it, you should just be able to just get out of it in any old way. And fine, everybody's got their worldview. We think it's something a little more than that. Most people in the history of the world, I think, have thought of marriage as a covenant before a god or gods. And this covenant is binding. It's not just making a promise to one another. It's making a promise to a supreme being, to who is the arbiter of ultimate justice. And it's making a promise to him. It's not just a contract. It's a covenant. And that brings in often a very serious dynamic to this. And many people who have same-sex marriages see it that way. It's a religious ceremony. So if that's the case, you're even talking about a religious ceremony in both cases, right? And we might even argue that it's a religious ceremony in both cases, whether one recognizes it or not, or derivative of one. And I've actually always not really had a problem with again, we have a problem with the worldview issues, obviously, but living in a free society, I've always kind of been like, okay, well, they're calling that something that is defined differently than what I call it. Okay, so they can see it as a contract and, not religious and all of that and whatever. But I'm just saying, however you want to dice this, I think these are very similar sorts of ceremonies, enough to make this point.
Right. But the atheist gets the pass and the theist not so much. Mm-hmm. Hence the title. But I'm not going to give atheists a pass. Now, first, Amy, who I think is a horrible person for her...
Don't say stuff.
Her blatant hypocrisy.
Okay, Amy, that's on him.
Of course. Don't be mad at Brax. Be mad at me. But...
I don't know you to be a horrible person, Amy.
This is evidence of a horrible person. And I'll tell you why. It's a microcosm of everything that is wrong with our culture right now. This is why it's all about narratives and not principles, right? I mean, if you have a principle, you rephrase what she said to the atheist word for word with inserting, traditional marriage as opposed to, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it demonstrates that these people are unprincipled. Because if she applied her principles in her advice column consistently, there would not be a difference in tone. There would not be a difference in the advice given and the snottiness of it, which again goes into the most predictable direction all the time. So yeah, Amy doesn't get a free pass, and neither do atheists, because I understand, say, a Christian does not want to go to a same-sex wedding ceremony because they have a belief that it violates. Mm-hmm. Atheism is simply a lack of belief in a deity. What in the world does a Jewish bar mitzvah have to do with going against some belief that she lacks?
Well, now this is an interesting point because our friendly neighborhood, Honestly Atheist, has come to say some things. And so we might as well go ahead and begin interacting with the audience here. So Honestly Atheist says, there are a few relevant symmetry breakers. That means things about gay marriage versus a bar mitzvah that result in relevant differences to the point that we're trying to make, such that maybe our point doesn't go through or go through as strongly. Okay. He says, one is the relative significance of the bar mitzvah to the child and the marriage to the person being married. Also, how close the subject of the ceremony is to the person declining the invitation, and how much the subject values that person's. Now, I take you to be meaning here, and I kind of agree, kind of just in a mundane way, that like if it's your coworker's cousin who you met one time at a party together, and they invited you, and you have an ideological difference, that's like almost not even. But if it's like your best friend, now that's a whole different ballgame,
right? Or your brother, or your daughter,
and here in this case, it's friends of the family or family, that kind of a thing. Okay, but then the last one is relevant to this more directly. Additionally, one is in general rejection of an institution, like gay marriage, I think, and the other is a moral condemnation, or no, the rejection of the institution is the rejection of the bar mitzvah and the institution of the Jewish faith.
Yes, but I want to point
and the other is a moral condemnation of the personal choice being made by a family member. Different things! Exclamation point.
But I want to point out to Honestly Atheists that the problematic lack of symmetry is in the way Amy responded to both. None of that is relevant to how she handled third parties asking her a question. And the difference.
And it's not entirely true either, because while, I mean, that's very subject dependent, I think. I think, honestly, atheists would honestly agree. But that's subject dependent, because there are a lot of people in our online worldview space who are atheists who are happy to tell you that the reason they're speaking out on this, one of the primary reasons, is because religious people have, religions have done horrible things, and religious people still tend to do horrible things, if nothing else, with their vote in suppressing the rights of other people or something. So Judeo-Christian values are at the heart of that, right? So that's obviously, someone might actually say, no, it is a condemnation, it is a moral condemnation on that religion, basically. Not so if the complaint is, well, yeah, but it is personally offensive because you're basically condemning as immoral the very thing that's happening, a person that you know engaging in this thing. Well, I'm saying the same thing is often said by atheists, if not so directly.
So you're saying
about
Amy gets
religion.
a pass to be snotty towards the Christian because Christians are terrible in her mind, and so that's a free.
No, I'm saying if you're saying one is a moral condemnation on a person, and so that's a symmetry breaker, whereas it's over here, I just don't buy your institution, the Jewish religion.
No, I'm talking about.
No, I'm responding to honestly atheists.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying there's a moral he's saying there's a moral condemnation on the gay friend, right? You're morally condemning what they're doing. Whereas over here, it's not. It's just I don't buy that. Well, I'm saying actually with many atheists, they are morally denouncing what certain religious practices or faith sects
believe about it,
lead to in the world. Like it's immoral to say what you say in the doctrines of your faith, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying even that I don't think flies through, although that would be subject dependent.
Right, all you're doing is you're
there might be a person who it works with and might not.
You're morally condemning someone because you disagree with their moral condemnation. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to condemn people either way, apparently. See, again, if you're consistent with the principle, you really have no objection to it.
I want to say a couple of things real quick to a person that we really is a friend of ours personally outside of the YouTube world. New Testament theologian.
And it still didn't address my question. What
Am I
it makes more sense for the atheist to just go to the bar mitzvah because there's nothing about a bar mitzvah that is opposed to a lack of belief about God or gods.
Right.
Whereas there is something about a same-sex marriage that a Christian would oppose. It is but right. I'm trying to see
the symmetry breaker. And here's a possible symmetry breaker I thought about this afternoon. I was thinking, well, you could have someone who has a hard time going to a Jewish synagogue for a bar mitzvah or anything like that because they had some sort of religious trauma. Like it takes them back to where maybe they had something in church or in synagogue or something where there was some abuse or just whatever. Okay. Yeah. But then the same could be said about a gay marriage, depending on what's in someone's background. Things can be in people's backgrounds, either way. And so and that's not like, hey, look how awful that group is. Everyone's aware that in the religious world there's been abuse, right?
Oh,
been plenty of abuse. So yeah. But I want to say something to the New Testament theologist here. Inconsistency is the sign of a failed argument or worldview. Amen. But here's the thing I really want to get to from this person. When are we doing our Romans chapter 8 chat? Didn't we agree to have a Romans chapter 8 chat?
Yeah, we're supposed to go on his channel at some point.
Well, I put it up here because it has to be settled or else we're going to continue to forget. So after this, we will contact you because the Trinitarians will ensure it. Okay. Yes. All right. So then but then also we want to congratulate Nick because Nick has a new preaching position.
Yeah. He's a
First Baptist somewhere. I saw it. I even went to the church's Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I want to see if they were Southern Baptist. I wouldn't think they are. But anyway, yeah. So
they would hire.
Well, that was my thought. I didn't want to say that, but that was my thought. Is that they're not gonna?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Amy, you bother me, Amy, because you should have been consistent in how you treat people, how you treat your dear readers.
How would you treat her if she showed up here?
Huh?
If she walked in the door,
I'd call her an unprincipled. Other words.
I wouldn't. I'd treat her like
inconsistent, unprincipled.
I'd treat her like a lady would want to be treated, and I would offer her a cup of coffee, treat her as an expert on the online
See,
world.
that's where you and I are
Look
different.
to see where I could learn from her experience.
I would say,
but I would absolutely ask her about this and make sure that I had presented the gospel, even though I don't know what her faith tradition is.
But see, you don't have to yell at somebody to say, "Hey, you're undisciplined. I mean, you're unprincipled. You're a hypocrite in how you treat people. And why are you treating these two people different, getting snotty with the one but not the other? Why does the atheist get the pass, but the theist not so much?"
Once again, we don't know for sure that was a
Why
theist.
are you double-minded like this?
And you're saying, I'm not asking that in a mean-spirited way, although I could. I'm asking it in a
probably would.
I'm asking it in an academic, you need to answer for this sort of way.
Yes, because it's see, if I had got both of those, here's how I respond. If you don't want to go, don't go. In both cases.
Which we agreed with at the beginning.
Right.
Okay, Chris Clements has a question.
And I'm like all for riffs and families. Like, I don't want to go because I think it's stupid and, I'd rather go fishing.
Well, I just want to say again, because I wrote this out. This is all coming, I think this is all accurate. This is all coming from what was said by Amy. And it is that this is what she communicated to the person by what she said. You are an embarrassed, prejudiced, less tolerant, divisive person in need of the forgiveness that you must hope you will be given from the people in the same-sex marriage.
Yes.
That's the answer.
That's her snotty.
Why wasn't the answer what was given to the situation about the bar mitzvah, the port would be this. If your friend does ask you, you can say, as you know, I believe in traditional marriage. I don't attend same-sex weddings. I realize that this might be somewhat awkward. And by the way, the awkwardness you felt when I read that last sentence or last part of the sentence, that's why you honestly say, I realize this might be somewhat awkward. And I recognize this is extremely important to your family, which it is, but I need to decline, which you are. But I'm also very honored by the invitation, which you are, or should be, that whatever's going on in their life, they appreciate you enough that they wanted to invite you. That you should be honored.
Yes, and you could have said the same thing. Mm-hmm. As you know, I believe in traditional marriage.
All right, Pritchett, here we go. I'm an atheist and generally a fan of you guys, even though I disagree with you most of the time. Well, we appreciate that. I'm curious, what's your take on the new Texas law to display "In God We Trust" in schools?
That's just, it's on our money. It's just one of those things that's like...
Yeah, like there's a school where they were told, or they thought they were told or something, that they couldn't have "In God We Trust." So they framed the back of a dollar bill. Is it on the back of the dollar bill? I think it's on the back of the dollar bill. That's terrible. I should know that. But they just framed that and put it on the wall.
Who looks at cash
"In God
anymore?
We Trust."
Yeah. No,
And then, hold on. There was someone, and I think him at Meta, the atheist blogger that did the 78 reasons or whatever that we went through with. I think it was him where I saw about this. They were talking about, oh yeah, well, what would you be okay with us getting a red, white, and blue sign like that says "In God We Trust," but put "In God." It still said "In God We Trust," but in Arabic. And I'm thinking to myself, this is worse actually than when people think they're really dissing us by referring to God with female pronouns, as if any of us think of God as having a physical biology to begin with. God,
yeah, it's like all the people,
right? But it's worse than that. Go ahead.
It's like all the people that were trying to get me all riled up because they put the Satanists put the statue outside of the Little Rock Capitol. I'm like,
but it's worse than all that because we actually are totally fine with it being written in Arabic. You could write it in Turkish. You could write it in Chinese. You could write it in Mandarin, whatever. You could write it in Spanish. All over the hallways, "In God We Trust." You're only making it better. You're actually taking our message and making it, you're actually putting it into multiple languages for us. So we don't have to spend the money to do it. The idea is if you see it in Arabic, because this is how we're thought of often, people that are religious, conservative thinking people in America, is that we're actually so stupid that if we see in Arabic "In God We Trust," we will assume it can only possibly be Muslim stuff. That the average person in America is just an idiot walking around chewing tobacco saying, not speak anything about people that chew tobacco, except don't do that. That we're just sitting around like a bunch of country bumpkins. And when we see Arabic, it just immediately translates to Islam for us. And that's talking about something else. It may be talking about something else, but in America, when people see "In God We Trust," most people think about, their neighbor who's a Christian, and you're just putting it in every language all over the place.
We talked about this back in the old days before we did the live stream show. Look, I don't get, what do I think? I don't know that I represent the thinking of Christians everywhere, but I'm like, I I don't understand getting upset about nativity scenes or menorahs or the 10 Commandments at a courthouse or the statue of Satan at the Little Rock Capitol. I mean, I do think that if you're going to have a display, make it as nice as possible. But I mean, so what? Your image of Satan comes from Christian literature from the medieval
Did you
era?
just say if you're going to have a satanic display, make it look nice?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yes. All they're doing is ripping off of medieval Christian.
There's high art
anyway.
that Christians have done of satanic imagery.
Yes.
You can see paintings of the Dante's Inferno and the circles of hell and all these kind of...
Right. So if you want it, because they do it to troll. It's not like, which is different than, you know, like the Flying Spaghetti Monster is there to troll. And the Satanists do it to troll, whereas Christians aren't putting up nativity scenes in public spaces to troll people. So there is a difference in intent, but I don't care. I don't care that their intent is, oh, I want to troll the Christians with the statue of Satan. I'm like,
see,
I want to argue with those atheists who claim Satanism, but they're not like theological Satanists or whatever, and say, yeah, I'm thankful that you are reminding us of an enemy.
I'll tell you what I think about all this.
I believe in that Satan more than you do, and I think that you need to understand that you are in the service of the Satan you reject, but just use his image for something else. So since you've already taken an image and used it for something else, I can take your image and use it for something else. So I don't have a problem with it.
You've upset Faithist Atheist, Jonathan. So much that he gave us $10. You have to read it. You've upset him. Now read it.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the super chat. I love Richard. He's awesome.
He's one of my favorite humans.
Pritchett needs Braxton like David Wood's ministry works better alongside Lycona's ministry. Warriorness and diplomacy can work well together, but it ain't easy and often requires multiple people.
See, the way that Richard talks, that is the most upset I've ever seen him. He is irate.
Livid.
I'm just take joy that somewhere he's either working out with the earbuds in or he's at home or driving and he's laughing out loud right now.
Yeah. If this show was just me and another me, I would not recommend anyone watch it. But the you and me thing is fine. And people seem to like you without me as well. So this just adds flavor.
Chase Clement says, Satanists statue, would you rather have all religions equally represented in public square or no religions represented in public square? That's a really interesting question. Are you talking about in public square like we're allowed to talk about? I don't think you're talking about freedom of speech.
No, talking about displays.
Talking about displays.
All or none?
If that was the thing, all or none. Yeah, that's, I don't care.
Yes.
I really don't care.
I don't even know how to answer that. I mean,
because we're talking about on public property, right? We're talking about everybody having the right or whatever.
In favor of all, you can use it as an opportunity to teach. We have a world religions class here.
Yes.
And you can use it as an instruction tool. If it's beautiful, it's not bad to look at.
And we'll make ours beautiful, just so you know.
Yes. On the other hand,
if there's one Christian statue and all Christians is represented in the community by this one statue, that statue is going to be amazing.
No, it better be, because if it's not amazing, this is terrible.
That statue is going to be everything that Michael Jackson wanted that statue of him on the front of the History album to represent.
But a whole bunch of stuff piled up in a public square can look tacky. And so point in favor of none is
the tackiness.
Less clutter.
Aesthetics.
So it's aesthetics. So
if you want the best aesthetics, you're saying just leave it to the Christian artists who can out time you on this and outspend you. No, I'll tell you, I don't care. Put them all out there. I don't care. Put none out there. I don't care, because the idea is, first of all, capitalism, free market in a certain sense will show you which of these statues nobody cares about. And then secondly, on top of that, it doesn't bother me because Christianity has always been totally fine in the marketplace of ideas. Yeah. Put it all out there, put none of them out there. If we get to talk, people are going to become Christians.
Yeah, I mean, Paul walked down to Athens and still got his message across. Here's the thing about that, though. What I do think is that if you're going to put stuff in the public square, it should be representative of the public within the geographical, residency of that public square, right? It should represent that community, right? And so, like
you're saying per capita.
No, I'm
Make
saying
the statue as tall as
Newburgh,
represented by the numbers.
In Newburgh, you have a Hindu temple.
Yeah.
You have, at least close enough to Newburgh, you have the Temple B'nai Israel. Okay, you have a Reformed Judaism. You have tons of churches, and then you have the mosque, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in Little Rock, how many of those atheists are really in the what do they call the humanists? Satan? What do they call themselves? Not the theological Satanists, but the atheists who are Satanists.
Theistic Satanism.
No, not the other ones. Who
the non-theistic
right,
Satanists?
Yeah.
I think they're just the Church of Satan.
Okay. So if there's like 5 people in Little Rock that statue represents,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't care that it's there, but it's not necessarily representative of the people of Little Rock.
Well, look here. Here's one representative of the people in a community. Miss Mutola says, we have an annual national prayer breakfast in my country where all the 3 main religions are represented in offering public prayers: Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. So that's an example again. Like, now there you run into, at some point you might run into a problem of how much the particular Christian is willing to do in terms of ecumenism, right?
Yeah, interfaith stuff.
Interfaith stuff,
yeah. I don't know that I'd be comfortable with that.
Right. I'm not sure I would either.
Yeah. I mean, okay, if you're at a football game and someone gives a generic prayer to God without "in Jesus' name" and all of that, okay, yeah, I'm going to still watch the high school football game, even though the guy says, in a generic theistic prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, I can put up with that. But if I have to start sitting through a whole bunch of, and they still do that, or at least last time I went to a high school football game in Arkansas, they were still praying.
Well, let's get to this super chat, because this is really interesting.
Any deeper than that.
The Rethinking Hell conference is coming up at our church, Jonathan, very soon. So you'll want to go to the Rethinking Hell website and check that out. And Jim Amberg, thank you for that $20, says, I was watching some of your old shows, and I think Hell and Mr. Fudge, which is the film we probably mentioned, that is a dramatic film. Like it's
like
acted
one of
out.
5 Christian movies in the history of the world that are actually watchable.
Still kind of low budget, but still good.
Watchable.
Yeah. And part of the reason
I thought it was good, but I mean, it's like one of the few, right?
That's true. And they did like what Daily Wire tries to do, where it's got a higher production value than you would expect. That they're not trying to do anything crazy where it would kind of tip their hand that they don't have the production value of Hollywood.
Right.
So Hell and Mr. Fudge is about some dude's life. It's fine.
It didn't require
no planes,
CGI,
no bombings, no explosions, no superpowers.
Yeah, I think it's a very.
For those who don't know, Mr. Fudge, this is all about a Church of Christ minister who became convinced that the Bible does not teach the view of hell, most commonly known as eternal conscious torment, or the traditional view of hell, the one that you probably learned almost no matter where you went to church, that hell is a place of eternal, conscious, unending suffering, ongoing suffering consciously, whether that be flames or something else. And annihilationists believe that the Bible conditional immortality. They believe that you are not intrinsically immortal. You have conditional immortality, and it's conditioned upon your acceptance of the everlasting life that is in Jesus. And if you don't accept that, that immortality is conditional, and you don't just get it naturally. And they'll point to places like in the pastorals where it talks about only God being immortal and all that sort of thing. And then they say, okay, so that means that when you look at passages like Luke chapter 12, verse 4 and following, and Matthew chapter 10, which I think is where the parallel of that is, where it says, don't fear him which can kill the body, and after that have no more that he can do. Fear him which after you have killed hath the power to cast you into hell. Fear him. Let's see, after that, how to destroy both body and soul. It says both body and soul in hell. And there's a direct correlation there. So if you understand what to be destroyed in the body means, and then you apply that to be destroyed in the soul means, then you have annihilationism, which means you will face judgment, but you will not, people that die and go to hell will die and go to hell, but not experience eternal conscious suffering. And Amberg is saying that he has been convinced of this. And I will just tell you that movie is really good, and you should come to the Rethinking Hell conference.
In Evansville,
Indiana,
Sometime,
and meet us.
Is it this month?
And hear me speak, and Chris Date, and Eli Ayala, and
What are the dates on
October 28th and 29th, I think.
Yeah. Pretty close to Halloween.
Look at this. I think War Room is a great Christian film. I hope it's in Pritchett's 1 of 5. I actually think it is too, Richard. And in fact,
I've never seen it.
Now wait a minute. The little girl that's in that movie, I think I have this right. Her dad in real life, not the actor that played her dad, but her dad in real life went on a trip to Israel with me. We got to hang out quite a bit. A really cool guy. Okay. Anything else we need to get to here, Pritchett? We've been at this for 45 minutes. We usually go a lot longer, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions coming in or statements.
Yeah.
There was one.
Yeah. No, we already said that one.
Computational Theist asked us that he said,
there was one at the beginning.
Thomism seems like seems a little too Calvinist. What do we think about Thomism?
Where was that?
I don't know. Just why aren't you a Thomist? Here we go. Why aren't you a Thomist? It seems to be more better than Calvinism without affirming double predestination, because I'm happy. To some extent, I probably would be considered Thomistic, but I'm happy with the view that I have, and I'd just be happier just telling you why I hold the particular aspects of my soteriology that I do hold.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and I mean, you and I both have points of congruence and points of divergence with Thomism, like most non-Thomists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's just, I don't know. Same with classical theism.
So what does woke mean to you, Pritchett? An atheist wants to know, who's being honest. Do you think there are more or less charitable interpretations of what woke means that might still be valid usages to the label?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you go with what it originally meant, which is having an awareness of racial injustice.
Waking up to these realities.
Yeah. Of racial injustice.
It's the way I feel.
In culture and law and all of that. I still think there's something valid to that, but
it's the way I feel about the whole trans surgery or therapies on underage people.
Yeah, but see,
I feel like the people
that's not woke. Woke is blue-haired lesbo gender studies professors at
doing a
secular
show with you
universities.
Is so hard.
That's woke now to a lot of people, and it has nothing whatever to do with being aware of racial
I know,
injustice.
but the way I liked it as a term, even though I disagreed with most of what people were using it for. I liked the notion of, because when you realize what is happening to minors in some of these places that were telling us openly that they wanted to do this before they started telling us that those conversations, you know what I mean? Those people that want to do that, it's like when you wake up and realize that that I might be sitting in a restaurant when I go to Nashville, where Vanderbilt University Medical Center is, when I could be sitting at J. Alexander's or something, in a restaurant full of about 100 people. Somewhere in that restroom is a person who is actively involved in doing that to minors, or could be. That's not an unlikely thing, that if I go to enough restaurants on West End, for those that don't know, Vanderbilt is basically West End. That is sickening to me. And I feel like when you wake up to it and you're like, hold on, wait, why is this happening? Why are we not saying something about this? Why are people not saying that? Like for adults, okay, that's a whole different thing. But for underage, what is going on here? I feel like you woke up to it. Like, I knew this was happening to some degree, but whoa, something just snapped in me. And this is, my culture is dark in this way.
Yeah, but see, woke had a particular usage. Some people might say that you're having like a red pill moment, which doesn't necessarily have to be
that's
right-wing.
A parallel. That's the right-wing parallel, right?
Well, it doesn't necessarily, it can be used for right-wing stuff, but it could just mean like just referencing the Matrix, right? Wake up to the new reality thing. So yeah, I think that the original usage should always be valid because that's where it came from. Mm-hmm. But in our culture now, woke is everything from that to, who was that lady at the Democrat National Convention that said that they identified as a he, she, mermaid, king, queen? That's woke now, and of course ridiculous and stupid. So yeah, I mean, woke gets used for all kinds of things now, for good and bad. But I do think that, I mean, it's like the word evangelical. It does identify a movement post fundamentalism that I still think has validity, even if it just means Trump voter to the New York Times. So, you know, that's why I say I'm a woke Christian nationalist, because there is a very, very sinister, bad form of Christian nationalism out there. But if by Christian nationalism you think, oh, well, maybe our government should prioritize our own citizens first. And also, by the way, I'm a Christian and I love God and my AR-15 and my King James Bible. That benign version of it, like your typical Southern Baptist, no problem with that.
Right, but what
if
you
you're
just said,
America is the new
does
Israel,
not sound benign to the people we're talking about. The fact that someone has an AR-15 and a King James Bible and looks masculine, you know.
Yeah, no, because being in shape is inherently right wing.
But let's get off there. We're not a politics show.
There was a article that came out that this lady was decrying fitness. That there is like this conservative right wing male masculine toxic masculinity stuff, that being fit and healthy is inherently right wing.
It's evil
and bad, therefore bad. Yeah, it's the most ridiculous article I've ever read in my life. But I'm like, if that's the thing, fine. Fine.
Listen,
that's why I'm like, woke Christian nationalist, fit conservative.
Listen to Tim the Ancient.
Anything that bothers people, that's what I want to say.
He paid $20 to say, which we thank him for.
I love Tim the Ancient.
Do you think
he's a reason to be on Twitter? Just follow him on Twitter. Him and Derek Beeler are fun.
I have seen Derek Beeler. I will follow Tim the Ancient.
Yes.
And probably a lot of other people will, now that you said that. You're welcome. All right. Do you think worship practice is, whether they are liturgical or contemporary, that are designed to elicit emotions, create valid spiritual experiences? Yes. Or are they a substitute for something that should happen organically? Yes. So
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes and yes.
So here's the thing. I believe, now I'm giving you my opinion. How is it that people are able to, according to the Bible, you're asking a Christian, so I'm using the Bible. How is it that people are able to worship God, worship false gods? And it really is worship. It's called worship. How is it that people are able to worship Satan and it really be something that is legitimately called worship? Mm-hmm. Why is it that we can say that that people that want to talk about all your AirPods are idols, and your whatever is an idol, and your sword is an idol, and your car is an idol, and your keyboard's an idol, and your wife is an idol, and your whatever, Joe Biden's an idol? And if that's those kind of people, worship is a legitimate thing you're able to exercise. And so when I hear Matt Dillahunty and people make my case for me, as they often do, by saying things like, well, I've had that sort of an experience at a concert, or driving along the road listening to song, or doing drugs, or having sex, or whatever else. I'm thinking, yes, exactly right. You're worshiping those things. That is an exercise of worship. Worship is something you can exercise in. You can exercise. Now, what's the science? The science is, and Andrew Newbegin has a book, Why God Won't Go Away. It's all about this, how your brain actually, in the act of worship, particularly if there's singing, and particularly if there's movements, rhythmic movements of some kind, clapping, rocking, stomping your foot, that everybody is kind of doing, that this does have some sort of an effect where it either increases or slows, I'm not a neurologist, the flow of blood to your occipital lobe. And what this results in is a feeling of euphoria and connectedness to the people around you. Okay. Now, that in one sense to some of our viewers sounds like a bit too hippie-like, but at the other end, but in reality, to me, what it sounds like is that could be the physiological components that are sometimes accompanying worship, which is your act of sacrifice to worship, to focus on God and perhaps meditate on Him. Worship is classically very much connected with sacrifice. And so I think you can exercise worship at a Coldplay concert, as Dillahunty has mentioned, or at a U2 concert for me, or while doing drugs, or in a romantic scenario. That's why you're not supposed to do that and are commanded not to do that, but to worship only God. Now, where do you disagree with me, Pritchett?
I don't.
Okay.
But
But that can be elicited by music.
Yes.
That can foster that. It can happen on your own.
We're emotional beings. Put Maple Borders 78, put that up there. But just so that Braxton knows, it needs to say at Trinity Radio so that he will flag it.
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah. But I got your back.
Love the show, guys. Could you share some thoughts on factory farming? I've contemplated it more because of Cosmic Skeptic in part. It's made me question eating at places like Chick-fil-A. Thanks. All right, now hold on a second. First of all,
I know you're going to love this question. You've got a lot of thoughts about this question.
Well, it's one of those areas where I'm feeling the way Maple Border is. I was impacted by Cosmic Skeptic's thoughts on this. Frankly, there's one video in particular where he shows, and I know it's an emotional reaction, but that's because there's something real underneath this, I think. Mm-hmm. And that is, he shows this particular video that has a lot of the factory farming practices. And it shows these chicks, baby male chicks or female chicks? I guess male chicks. You would know, you're a chicken guy, that they don't want. Maybe they don't need as many or something. And they're going like right out of like the incubator or whatever, out of wherever they're come out of their shells and whatever they do there. And they're dumped into this, I don't know why I'm laughing. It's horrific, but they slide down this like ramp into this nightmare of blades.
Yeah.
Some machine that looks like Shredder from the Ninja Turtles invented. And they just are diced into pieces and die. Like their whole existence after the shell, which is about 10 seconds, is a nightmarish hellscape. And then they don't exist, and then they're dead. Now, when I saw that, I will admit that I think I felt what was like there was a visceral reaction that this is ridiculously wasteful the way we're doing it. And I'm open to the fact that I don't know enough about how all this works. Okay. There's a lot of arguments involved in this, and this isn't my area, but I'm just giving you my prima facie response because that's been asked of me. And I've been thinking about this a bit. And so that's when I saw that and I had that, we're wasteful. That's not good. If the Bible is true, we're supposed to, we have dominion over these animals, but that doesn't mean we're to be wasteful. In fact, the Bible teaches that you're to be kind to your animals. Right. Yeah. So I don't have maybe a problem with killing animals in general for food, but the way we're doing it, factory farming style, did rub me. I don't know that I can't say that was the conviction of the Holy Spirit on my life.
Yes.
But then on the other hand, that doesn't mean necessarily, like I just said, that farming, like the killing of animals for human consumption is in principle a wrong thing.
Yeah, no, I remember listening to an indigenous theologian at a Wheaton conference a few years, I guess 2012, 2013, somewhere. It's online. Anyway, it's very interesting. And he would talk about, just the art of hunting. And then, they would shoot a deer. And then they would offer thanks to the deer for giving up himself so that they could survive, very respectful. And then of course now thanking God. He's a Christian now, theologian. And so he would also thank God for the blessing of food. Mm-hmm. And so that all seems to be noble. Mm-hmm. There's nothing noble about that. Mm-hmm. Like I want chicken farms, and if you can source your chicken from other farmers, if not, just go get the frozen chicken like I do. Because
now, in a world where factory farming does exist and Chick-fil-A does exist, let me just tell you right now, there is no question that if this is a sin, the best tasting sin is Chick-fil-A. There is no question.
Yes.
Anyone who but you haven't tasted Popeyes. Yes, I have. Popeyes is and Chick-fil-A does not underwrite this program. I'm just telling you, I'm sorry, that is not Chick-fil-A. Yeah. Oh, Zaxby's, go home with your Zaxby's.
Yeah. I can't.
These kids aren't always so nice. The kids are nice at Chick-fil-A.
Fried mushrooms at Zaxby's is fantastic, though. Ain't gonna lie. It's really worth having. But, okay, so as someone who actually owns 40 chickens.
And Coldplay's got a good song. It doesn't make them you too.
I would be horrified at the sight of what they, like these Tyson plants and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they're right there in Springdale where my wife is from. Absolutely. And where your wife is from.
Because, we care for our chickens. Probably too much.
Are you kind to your animals?
I think that we are too kind to our animals to be, but I think we could be a lot less kind to our animals and save money, but my wife won't let us be. But even though the fact that I eat meat, I will never stop eating meat. I have no desire, because like you said, killing animals for food is not inherently wrong. Okay. And so I don't side with the whole ethical veganism thing. But you can get an ally in me and say maybe we can change our practices. Because even after inflation, a bag of chicken feed is about $14. And instead of dumping off these roosters, I guess that's what they're doing. There are people who would love to take those roosters, maybe go to Rural King and buy 2 or 3. Well, I think you have to buy in Indiana. You have to buy a minimum of 6, and start your own little chicken farm. They do not have to just right out of the incubator slaughter them.
Right.
There are people who would. I mean, you can obviously people buying chickens.
Why is my window so much smaller?
Yeah,
than
we
yours?
should reform that. We should get Rand Paul on that, because Rand Paul recently got something about animal testing, getting rid of certain things to do with animal testing in the Senate. One of the few things that amazingly bipartisan support for. So yeah, I mean, maybe we should look at some of that stuff. So you can get me on board for having a less cruel process at these chicken factories and some of these factory farms with beef and all of that other stuff.
I've ruined it, Bridget.
But I'm not going to stop eating meat. And I'm not going to eat the fake meat that Bill Gates wants us to eat. I'm not for having small arms and man boobs like Bill Gates. Not going to eat the bugs.
Why are you now you're on Bill Gates?
Yeah.
You're making fun of his chest. What's going on here? Body shaming, but Bill Gates might have serious body
because he wants me to eat fake meat,
like cloned meat,
like fake meat.
If they make cloned meat, will you eat it?
I'll try it, but I'm gonna.
Will you eat clone? Never mind. Remember when we did the episode on Richard Dawkins saying that they will probably make like a human steak because they could clone?
Yeah, not gonna eat that.
No, that's what's wrong with you.
Not gonna eat that.
Only Richard Dawkins.
I mean, I don't mind, but I'm not gonna eat Bill Gates fake meat, and I'm not gonna eat the World Economic Forum's bugs. Just not gonna do it.
See, I'll look here.
So
Robert Nass Worthington. Look, this is what I'm saying here, folks. I'm not an expert in this area. You might be right. I only reported what I felt when I saw what they did. All right. So in that respect, maybe I am the snowflake targeted by whoever, and I just bought it hook, line, and sinker. Maybe that's all. Maybe what I saw was was not representative of factory farming. Maybe it was selectively chosen, not necessarily by Cosmic Skeptic, but by propagandists in general.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that. Or maybe what I saw was horrific.
No, I've seen Clarksville, Arkansas had chicken plants spring down, up in Northwest Arkansas. A lot of times, some of what they do is just grotesque.
Well, this guy says...
When you think about steak, you think about these free-ranging cattle, all over the rolling hills of Montana or somewhere in Texas. And you think of chicken coops and all of that when you think about chickens. By the way, if you have free-range chickens like I do,
yeah,
you will not have grass.
Listen, Faithiest Atheist just gave us $10 more.
Pictures of chicken outside of a coop and there's grass everywhere. That's a myth.
And he said, we are all human beings. This particular episode going off the rails is consistent with that tenet. Except the problem is, Richard, we haven't gone off the rails. This was the question we were asked.
Yeah.
We are on the rails. It's just that y'all are making the rails. And when you have 10 different people in the chat creating the railways, it's hard to say where the cars of the train will go.
The upside of factory farming is that it feeds the world like no other, or at least in the U.S. and in the West, factory farming feeds people. It's a good thing. But if you're just being wasteful and you're just cramming all of these pigs and all of these chickens and these cramped hot, feed them slop and all of that stuff, no, we can do better. We can.
Well,
so I agree. There's good about factory farming, but let us criticize where I think that because I love animals and I eat animals, and so you can do both. You can do both.
Nate 2D2 over here eating chicken feet.
Yeah, I don't do that. I don't even eat my own chickens. I can't yet bring myself to eat my own chickens.
You are forgiven, Derek. Don't let it happen again.
I'll eat the eggs. Won't eat my own chicken.
Derek says, do you forgive me for having a work meeting and not being able to pop in until just now? Yes, but that can only happen twice a month, no more. I don't know what this there was a picture about chicken feet. It looks like we've kind of petered out here, Pritchett.
Yes.
This has been a blast. I hope that if Amy Dickinson sees this, that she will understand that
I think that you need to apologize to that person, and it needs to be public, and then I'll apologize for the mean things that I said about you.
Will you?
But yes,
if she does, you will.
If she apologizes, then I'll say, okay, you're no longer a terrible, horrible.
What
person.
if she acknowledges the difference and were to double down and be like, yeah, there's a symmetry breaker, and this is horrible, and this isn't? What do you do then? Do you appreciate? You tell her you appreciate her and back off just out of her consistency?
No, she's not consistent though.
No, I mean consistent with being inconsistent.
No apology for apologizing for treating your readers that keep you. The fact that there's still an advice column in 2022 is somewhat impressive, but the fact that you're going to treat your readers like this, who keep you employed, and you're going to give snotty remarks to one and not to the other over the same basic idea, and that you're going to be inconsistent. No, you're a horrible person.
Kevin,
apologize for it, and I'll apologize for calling you a horrible person. Don't apologize, and you've confirmed to me that you're a horrible person. Kevin
Non-Tradicath, thank you for showing up today. We appreciate it. Everyone's showing up a little late today. Click like, you 50 people watching, and make smart Alec comments.
Yeah. Atheists
Smart
ask
Alec.
me for advice all the time, and I don't give them any different advice than I give, and I don't deliver in any different of a tone. My tone is crappy with everyone. So, yeah, I mean, consistent.
Here's the thing. I'm just going to tell you. At one point, I was slated to debate Cosmic Skeptic. I consumed almost all of his YouTube channel because you know how I prepare for debates. I just everything. And I came to really respect him and the changes, the growth that he has had, and his willingness to say where he's changed his mind, and even now say really honest, straightforward things that even where he didn't have to. Like, it's not like you would have been dishonest not to say that, but you said it, you know. And I really appreciate that about the guy, and I admire him. I think that he's a smart guy. And so the comments I've heard, the debates I've heard, the discussions about this issue, I have been persuaded to some degree by him. It doesn't mean everybody else has to be. Your mileage may vary, as Pritchett always says. But yeah, okay, let's jump on this, Pritchett, because he has asked this multiple times. Germanicus says, if the Bible is clear on what is required for salvation, how come Catholics think Protestants have got it wrong on this topic? Are Catholics being dishonest? Well, the Catholics right now are saying that we're like estranged brothers or something, not that we're not saved, is my understanding. Not that they've always said that, but that is the current statement. So the question, I think, is problematic.
I mean, that depends on, which Catholic, being dishonest. I mean, that's. I think that I don't think that the Catholics and Protestants think that it's unclear, right? They're both going to affirm believe in Jesus Christ. They're going to differ on what all that entails. I don't think that they're being dishonest, and I don't think that the Bible isn't clear. I think they are disagreeing on below the surface.
Can I say this? When you think about like important differences and lesser differences, which Christians do debate about what's an issue of first importance and what's a second tier issue, there aren't near. But when you actually look at when it comes to salvation, there aren't as many differences among Orthodox Christian groups as some atheists would like there to be.
Yeah.
And need there to be.
Now, I'm not going to take Matt Walsh's things. Oh, I think they were talking past each other.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
that tells me you aren't aware or don't care to talk about the incredible depth of debate that has happened for centuries on every one of these issues and all of them together.
So, number one, I don't like the reductionism of salvation equaling justification. Justification is a part of salvation, but justification is not salvation. And number two, I disagree with both Catholics and Protestants on justification. So, but I don't think any of them are being intentionally dishonest, like with malice, but they're being dishonest.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, man, this has been fun. You guys have been awesome. We got a seminary to run, but this has been great. Here's the thing. Can I give a special announcement? We're going to change the tagline for the show, Pritchett. I haven't even talked to you about this, but you're going to agree. I guarantee you.
Would it matter?
It would matter.
Oh.
It would matter, but I just know you'll agree. We're going to change it from the channel, the Christian channel that loves atheists, although we're still that. We're still the Christian channel that loves atheists. We were the Christian channel that loves Muslims, even though we didn't say it like that very often, right? But now our purpose is creating content devoted to changing the secular worldview of the next generation.
That's a mouthful.
Yep. But we are devoted to this is the channel that wants to change the secular worldview of the next generation. That's it. And you'll understand why in the days. Actually, you'll understand why in about 10 minutes when we go off the air. But
I like it. What I'm saying is that's a mouthful to say.
It sure is.
Whereas saying we're the channel that loves atheists rolls off the tongue.
I know. But you're going to understand why, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is exactly right. Because let me just say this.
That sounds more like a mission statement than a tagline.
Partly. No, we could mess with it to make it more. You can have your say, but listen, I said at the end of an episode, we're toying with it, okay, so that we can now toy with it together. Because here's the thing.
But I don't want this to be like we were toying around with the name change just to come back and say, no, we're keeping it.
No, we're not. We're not doing that. But I think we do because you like what we're trying to communicate with this, right?
Adam Coleman's in the house. What up?
Yeah. But the reason is because we're going to in the future be looking to develop a partnership with someone else. Now, let me just say that there are a lot of podcasts, there are a lot of YouTube channels, there are a lot of big YouTube channels, but we're a YouTube channel that is run by two guys who are in administration at a very large Bible college and seminary.
Yes.
With all of the resources that go along with that. And there are many. We also have 9 books between the two of us, all of which I've written.
Yes.
And there is an organization that has a bunch of other things that are equally impressive. And together, we would like to chart a course forward to create something. Let me just say this. To create something that creates culture. To create something that communicates to the culture in a much bigger and more audacious way.
I was going to say they were differently impressive.
Yeah, that's true. Because now you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I knew what you were talking about already.
Okay. And no, we're not partnering with Turek. Sorry about that, Derek. Glad you're here.
Yeah. Oh, never mind.
It's just don't. Okay. No, this is going to be big. Let me put it this way. Everyone has. One of the things they tell you when you're trying to be a content creator is think about your your unfair advantages. Well, I admit that it's unfair, but as guys at a seminary, we have a lot of unfair advantages, and this other organization has a lot of unfair advantages, and these are the kind of advantages that when you put them together, you can accomplish a lot for the kingdom really fast in a bigger way than you ever thought you could. And that's why what we're doing here is more exciting than it's ever been, because God just keeps giving us new possible. I don't know that this is the door, but he keeps showing us doors that allow us to run faster.
It's a door for sure. It's not. We don't know what the door will be.
That's right.
We'll see that when we're all into this for a little while under our belts.
I hope I've accomplished what it is that.
Yes, Derek, we're aware of our privilege. We have seminary privilege.
And and Adam says that we're at True ID says that we're joining forces with Elon. Elon can get in on it if he wants. We're not going to kick him out. I mean,
no, he has to repent and believe the gospel if he wants it.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want his money. I want spaceships.
He can be a guest to talk with us.
Absolutely.
Okay, so folks, hopefully that will at least pique your interest. And
we'll do a better job of sharing the gospel.
It is important that if you've listened to the end now, and that some of you want to help us out, listen, check us out at patreon.com/Trinity Radio, where you can get ebooks, an audio book, multiple courses, multiple extra videos, all kinds of stuff, including a new metal rap song that Jonathan Pritchett sings about abortion when he was with the famous Christian group Perseverance of the Saints as the rapper.
No, that was Slip and Fall.
Whatever.
A hip hop group, which also has tracks in there.
They don't care.
That
it's
was
all
Cross
there.
Soldiers, and the album was Perseverance.
And you want to see that. So,
yeah. But I wasn't ever a true Calvinist, of course.
I love this, man. Honestly, Atheists is sitting here trying to help us come up with our tagline, correcting the direction of secular culture for tomorrow. I may just use it just because an atheist came up with it.
No, correcting culture for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, just correcting culture for tomorrow.
We'll think it through.
For a better tomorrow.
It sounds like something from... No, I was going to say it sounds like from something from Tomorrowland at Disney World. Yeah. Like the Carousel of Progress. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. You know that song?
Yeah, of course.
Shining at the end of every day.
I think Tom Hanks narrates it now.
Sing it with me, Internet. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. And tomorrow's just a dream away. Come on, Pritchett. Man has a dream, and that's a start. He follows his dream with mind and heart. And when it becomes a reality, it's a dream come true for you and Steve. All right. We've had fun today. It's been a blast. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you next time on Trinity Radio. There's a